Thank you, Matt, Marcel, and everyone here for inviting me to VizConf. Today, you experienced a lot and learned so much from one another. Everything you worked on will serve you and your work as a visual practitioner. Your future self is thanking you. This is my favorite quote, and it's by Carlos Slim Helu. That's the kernel of my message today. If you take just one thing away from today, if you forget everything else, just sit back and unwind from this incredible day, remember this one quote. Know the future and your place in it. Thinking back about Sarah's important message this morning, what will you do differently? How will you contribute? How will you use your influence and power responsibly? What impact do you want to have? I heard many people talking about how they were planning to do good work in the world, and I feel hopeful about the ripple effect that you will each cause when you go back into the world to do your work. When we leave here today, have you thought about how you will implement these learnings? What you will do differently? How you will contribute? How do you design your life? Do you write master plans, create visions and action plans? Do you not worry about it and just let life itself lead the way? There's no right way for everyone, but there is a variety of ways you can explore the possibilities. Today, I'd like to offer up an exercise from a larger practice that I call the right way. We're about to write a plausible, possible future for ourselves. But first, before we start, I want to begin with a quick lettering lesson because lettering is my life and I don't do anything without considering the lettering. So you should have a couple of things in your swag bag. You received this handout. This is for how to write like an architect. You'll notice that you can use a fine one, a sketch one, a pencil, or any monoline tool to practice this lettering style. And I will do a quick demo. In order to design or architect our lives, we're going to need a lettering style that holds the attribute that supports the future that we want to create. So here's a quick review of architect. Architect, with the exception of the letter I, is built on a square. So all of your uprights are going to be vertical. Now, many of you that take my lettering classes, I talk about X height. This line right here actually isn't the X height. It is the line that shows us the direction in which all of our letters should be going. And you'll notice in a moment how your second stems don't have to touch this baseline. It can go higher. Architect is also based on the shape of an oval. That will be our O. So if I were to write the letter H, notice I have straight stems. The second one can be slightly higher than the first one, and that my crossbar is going up and to the right. Same with the letter A. Whenever we combine our straight letters with our oval letters, like that, we do see a little bit of an oval in our rounded shapes, but again, all of our crossbars go up and to the right. And then any rounded shapes, again, based on that oval. So just like these strong, stable stems, that's what we are. We direct ourselves to the future, ready for the next step by angling our crossbars. And when we find ourselves going round and round and round, we know that momentum lives in an oval. So watch as I write out the alphabet and feel free to try it yourself on the template that I've provided. And have your sketchbook nearby because you're going to need that soon as well. Do you get the rhythm here? At the actual keynote in Melbourne, I had the audience sing me the ABC song, a nod to the past. I also had them hold up their sketchbooks or handouts where they wrote their letters, and they were beautiful. Wow. And I can tell a lot by looking at a lot of these letters, a lot about a person. So, such beautiful letters. I want to remind you that letters have no meaning until they live in relationship with one another. Lettering and words are the foundation from which we communicate. Think about it. We write letters one at a time, just like stacking bricks to form words that we're hearing, and we distill those down into the written word. How those letters relate, how we depict them using hierarchy, composition, emphasis through color, style, and size is what connects us with those in the room and them with your words. So just like yourself, alone, you can sketch note, graphic record, facilitate, work with a client, just to get that job done. But look around. What did you learn today? Who did you learn that from? Did you dream big? Did you find someone to collaborate? If so, you have great work to do. And if not, you have even a greater challenge. And if you choose to accept it, when you get back to your room tonight and reflect on the day, think of a person you had a conversation with or someone you wish you would have connected with. Take a moment to find them online. Now, don't just like or repost something on social media, and don't be a voyeur. Reach out and send them a message. Ask them a provocative question. Something like, what was the most creatively fulfilling part of your day? Find something you like about their work and ask a clarifying question about what motivated them to create and post it. Or simply ask them for a virtual coffee. You will be surprised at how much you can learn, create, and dream with someone else. It's much greater than what you can accomplish on your own. I know. I used to be the publisher of an arts magazine. When I founded the publishing company with my then boyfriend, Ray, we called it Shared Vision Publishing. We believed in this theory, and it's what drives many of our best ideas and creative adventures today. Hey, Ray, look at where we are. Don't we find ourselves in the most peculiar places? Let's look to our future, shall we? Identify your values. They will define your motivations and help you make decisions. Before you started out in this work as a visual practitioner, before you even knew this career was a thing, I'm curious, what was important to you? Now, I'd like you to divide your page into 3 different sections. Think back at what you were doing a few years ago before you became a visual practitioner. It could have been going to school, starting a family or a job, whatever it was. Write down 3 things that you did during that time you are most proud of. It could be a peak career experience, a skill set you were practicing, or a value that you developed and that you still hold as important today. Write that on the left side of your sheet. Now, while this isn't a true values exercise, which can take you hours or days, and I recommend you do for yourself, this is a good start in recalling what has been important to you and what remains a priority in your life. To learn more about determining your values, read my blog post at bit.ly/values and goals. Next, we're going to talk about our current state and our future state. Using the sketchnote size orbit generously donated by Neuland, draw a circle and label that circle with what you do now. I'm going to use the actual orbits that you can purchase from Neuland to draw my circles so that you can see how to draw the perfect Venn diagram. Now, while these these special markings on here to help me. While they're not on that smallest size, I will demonstrate how you can use this. To create that diagram. Takes just a little bit of lining up. And there you go. After you draw the circle, label the circle with what you do now. Now reflect on a recent learning experience that you've had. It may be something from today, another conference or workshop, and draw another circle intersecting the first. This is a Venn diagram. Label that second circle with 3 key takeaways from this recent learning experience. My career as a visual practitioner started at my first IFVP conference in Hawaii 2011. It was in 2012 that I channeled what I now call ACT, Art Career Theorem, and mapped out my future. Everything became very clear to me and what I had to do. I say that because what I wrote down, what I realized rang so true, I had no choice but to move forward in that direction. In 2013, I started to execute on a vision map for myself, and in 2014, moved to DC and co-founded what is now called the Visioneering Team. In 2016, I was stalling out, burning out, and not moving at that same pace towards the dream I had once had. I was in a session with my astrologer where she told me what kinds of things would be happening in the upcoming years. I had my values written across the top of my page, and when she said that I needed to prep for X, Y, and Z, a feeling came over me like a gut punch. I knew that my values weren't enough to get me where I needed to go. So I literally changed my values. That's right, I changed them. I visualized my future and backwards engineered my values in order to fit. I created a new decision model, and while at first it took some time getting used to, the relationships with my colleagues started to change, my outlook got a lot better, and the opportunities that I needed to make my dream happen became more frequent and apparent. I still look back at that graphic recording and the many cents and can see the progression in my life. It's like going back after reading a good book and rereading the chapters, but clearly seeing the outcome unfold before your very eyes. What seemed like an eternity then to get things done not only takes moments to make decisions and execute on them, I call creativity at the speed of imagination. It's something I practice and encourage others to learn about as well. What are some of the techniques, processes, or modalities that you use? I encourage you to turn this work onto yourself. Use the strategic visualization exercises you do with your clients and use them on yourself. Adopt the processes available from others in our field to develop yourselves personally and professionally. I love the yes-no sandwich Sarah illustrated for us this morning. What a great script for us in learning on how to say no. I'd like to invite you to join me on what I call the yes-no meter. It will help you determine what to say no to. And what to say yes to. Now I'd like to invite you to take a guided visualization with me. You may close your eyes or rest them gently on a spot in front of you. Let your eyes rest on that spot. Blur your focus and notice your breath. On the next inhale, count to 3. And when you exhale, count to 5. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and do this a few more times. And then stop counting and just completely let go. I want you to imagine yourself just leaving a gig. It was so great. Your work was practically impeccable. The client loved it. You were able to get everything on the page. Everything was fine. You were able to capture everything. You made great contacts. It paid you well. It was very convenient for you in terms of where you live and how you work. Everything just seemed to go right. Imagine the details of that day. Think of all the wonderful things that happened to you. When you get home, you get another email from the client. They can't wait to see the deliverables. You've got them almost ready, and they're looking forward to scheduling another call. When you think about these clients, you're thinking, these are the ones. This is the kind of client that I want from now on out. And it seems to be endless. So you take a bit of a break, and you come back to your email, and you have an email from someone new. They look like they're looking for someone to do some work that might be a little bit above you or something you don't want to do. They're not going to pay very much. They want to know if you can give them a discount. And they aren't going to pay you for any of your supplies. They're hoping that you'll donate it. And it's a subject that you're not too crazy about, and the person seems kind of pushy. And then imagine a few more things that you would say no to in terms of what the worst possible client is, and this person is asking it from you. You really don't want to answer the email. You're even thinking about not answering it at all. And then another email pops up. That client can't wait to meet you. They've already shown your work to their boss, and they want to get you in on the next possible date that you are available. Name your price. And they understand that you probably gave them a bit of a discount on the first time. So they understand if you want to either charge more or get under contract with them. So now I'd like you to take a deep breath in again and exhale. And bring your attention back to your sketchbook. And on a separate sheet of paper, I'd like you to journal about what you've just experienced. Get as descriptive as you can. Write a description of the scenario you just created. Articulate the feelings you've had when the situation was less than desirable. Then describe and bring back that feeling you had when the scenario was just like you wanted. Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to write things down. If you're watching this video, just hit pause. Reflecting on your writing, identify a few success factors that makes for a great opportunity. Label the last circle with 1 to 5 of those. Remember, if you try this exercise again, journaling is the key step. It allows you to explore the possibilities. Write and then edit. Don't edit while you're writing. Write and then edit. It's too easy to go into editing mode. Honor each step. You can and always will edit later. So congratulations. Now you have filters you can use for your decision model, meaning when you get contacted for a potential client, you can refer to those to see if they meet your criteria. Do they align with the success factors that you know about, that you feel are important? Or do you get that sense, that urgency, that feeling of a hard no? And remember, there's only one yes. The rest are just no's. You'll know how that feels in your body and by the types of things that the client says to you. If you choose to take on a project that doesn't meet all of the criteria, make a note of your compromise and step into the project being aware and find tools and ways to work so you don't feel as if you have compromised, but taken on a project knowing full well what you are up against and stay curious and open to learn from the opportunity. Now that you've worked through some key points from the past, present, and what you want out of the future regarding your professional life, are you ready to integrate these findings into your practice? Before we move ahead, keep in mind that this is a working document. I say this as a way to remind you to be gentle with yourself. You can keep adding or curating this graphic at any time. What makes and motivates change? Now is the time where rubber meets the road. What makes change? Behaviors do. How do you change behaviors? You turn a bad or useless habit into a productive or useful one. That may look like a shift in time management because you need to make time for these new things you've just learned and that you want to practice. And you have to make sure that you're using conscious application to turn an old way of working into a new way of working. So with that, take a look at the shared space between these circles. We might have the best intentions, but if our behavior doesn't match, then intention doesn't matter. So as we look at the relationship between what we used to do and what we found valuable, what we continue to do or do now, and our new learnings that we have acquired, and the success factors that we need in order to be successful, make a note of how some of these new examples of behavior will help you. You're going to need to make time to do all of these new things and be gentle on yourself as you go forward. So going forward, and you can draw an arrow from this Venn diagram to the next area, identify what you are grateful for from today. Make a note to yourself. After this talk, maybe write a thank you note to a friend, write an email to a colleague, and thank them for something that they've done lately. Or tell a relative or a friend or a partner how much you care for them and what you're grateful for from them. We have so much to be grateful for. Thank you for sharing and making today a special one for one another and so meaningful to me. What are you going to make room for in your life? Get out your phone right now and open up your calendar. Then create a new event 2 hours after you wake up tomorrow, if you have time. Or it can be right after you get finished with today. Make a note that you will reflect on today and schedule a time to do that one new thing that you're going to make room for in your life. Make room for it in your calendar. You might have to give something up. Are you willing to do that? When you consider your values and what work you want, what are you going to do to get yourself there? And what is the first thing you will do to take your learnings and make them part of your future self? Go ahead and make some notes in your journal. Pause this video if you need to. What is important to you now? Compared to where you were before you became a visual practitioner, now that you are listening, lettering, drawing, and synthesizing in ways you never imagined, what is important to you now? And how can we, with our libraries of methodologies, use the work on ourselves to contribute our greatest potential as a field to make great change in the world? While Carlos Slim Helú said, "Know the future and your place in it," I would encourage you to see the future, and you are in it. Over the last half hour or so, you've been drafting a design for your life. You can now use the superpower of visualization to see your future and your place in it. It's time to design your life. I'd like to leave you with this. Problems cannot be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. This is what we all think that Einstein said, but what he really said was, a new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move towards higher levels. Subtle but important distinctions here. Do you hear and feel the difference? If you do, then you will have little resistance getting through to your future self. And if you don't, I suggest you study appreciative inquiry and the power of positive psychology. Now, go. Be architects for your future. Design it. Seek it. Live it. And when you find yourself in that future place, let me know. I want to celebrate it with you. I'm honored to be part of today.